Star Wars Episode VIII: The Last Jedi is directed by Rian Johnson, and it stars Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, Oscar Isaac, Adam Driver, Andy Serkis, and Mark Hamill returning as Luke Skywalker and Carrie Fisher as General Leia. In this review, I'm going to keep it spoiler-free, so if you have not seen the movie yet, you are safe here. This movie takes place right after the events of Episode VII: The Force Awakens, with Rey meeting Luke Skywalker, and with the Resistance now celebrating their victory at Starkiller Base. And it's nice to see that. The closest we ever got was between Return of the Jedi and The Empire Strikes Back, with everybody trying to go save Han Solo. So let me just talk about the good of this movie. The special effects are incredible in this movie. The ships look amazing. And yes, this is not a spoiler, but yes, there are A-Wings in this movie, and special bomber vehicles as well. So seeing those really made me happy. I still wanted more variety. I still wanted like Y-Wings and B-Wings and other TIE fighters. Yes, you do get a little bit of Kylo Ren's TIE silencer, which is a pretty great scene. The space scenes are all really amazing. The opening action scene is probably one of my favorites in the movie. It's a pretty intense, exciting scene. One that I wish could have been extended a little bit longer, but it's alright. It was still fun. And seeing Mark Hamill on screen again as Luke Skywalker was definitely something amazing to watch. I disagree with how they treated his character at some points, but overall it was still pretty enjoyable to see his character again. The two most interesting characters in this movie are Rey and Kylo Ren. I like both their characters, and Adam Driver is a phenomenal actor. He delivers some great lines with great emotion with it, and Daisy Ridley, she's just fun to watch, trying to get trained to be a Jedi, and she's just a joy to watch on screen. And clearly from the trailers you do get to see Snoke in real life. I mean, at least in person, not through a hologram. So that was pretty cool to see. Andy Serkis portraying Snoke was really awesome. His voice is incredible. His character is very menacing. And there are a few cameos in this movie with Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Gareth Edwards. I'm not going to spoil them for you here. We did talk about them in our spoiler review, so if you have seen the movie, go watch that video. And if you haven't seen the movie, go watch the movie and tell me if you caught those cameos. So unfortunately, that is all the positives that I have for you. Let's get into the negatives. And this might be a minor, very minor spoiler, but my biggest negative is the fact that there is a useless storyline with Finn and this new character, Rose. None of their story needed to be in the movie. They do nothing at all. Nothing that they do impacts the plot whatsoever. They're just time filler, and it's really disappointing because I enjoyed Finn's character. Yes, he was a little too excited as an actor. At least he seemed too excited to be in a Star Wars movie in the first one. This one, he doesn't. I don't feel like he behaves that way. So he's calmed down a little bit, but he's still, in this one, I liked his character much better in The Force Awakens. He does stuff that's very important to the plot. In this one, nothing. He does nothing. And it's really frustrating. Another very minor spoiler is Poe Dameron. He's pretty much useless this entire movie, which was disappointing to me. I wanted more of Poe Dameron. You do get more of him, but he pretty much does nothing throughout the entire thing. And while it was exciting to see Mark Hamill on screen again, like I said, I disagree with how they treated his character at some points. The way that he behaves is not like Luke Skywalker would behave. And the island on the planet that he's on, I believe it was Octu, there's some weird aliens on this planet. There's a weird milk alien that delivers green milk. It's kind of disgusting, and they show it in detail. It's weird. There are these caretaker creatures that look like nuns, but they're really from like the prequel era, more like Episode 1, and just bad, just really bad. And the worst addition to this movie was the Porgs. I know everyone was excited about Porgs, and Porgs are so cute. They are probably one of the worst things about this movie. They're super annoying. The noise they make is used over and over and over and over again. Every time you see a wide shot of the island that Rey is on that planet, you hear a porg noise, and it's really stupid and annoying. It doesn't even sound like they tried to alter it to sound different. It's always the same sound effect over and over again. There is, however, a comedic scene involving a porg that I laughed at first, but it was carried on for far too long, and that's another big negative of this movie. There's too much humor crammed into it where it does not need to be at all. There are some serious parts where it's like, this is gonna be awesome, this is gonna be awesome, and then it's like, here's some humor, let's just put a little bit more in there. It's like, too much, too much, too much. And I don't know, I disagree with the amount of humor, some of the choices that characters make. I totally disagree with the porgs, and I really wish that Finn did something to the plot in this movie. And BB-8, yeah, he's a cute character from The Force Awakens. Everyone loved him in The Force Awakens. He's there in this movie. I would say he's probably cuter than the porgs. But you know what? There was this like big hype about BB-8 and BB-9E. They're gonna have a fight, and it's like, BB-9E, minor spoiler, he's in it for maybe 10 to 15 seconds. So don't expect anything out of that. The climax of the movie is very interesting. I thought it was pretty enjoyable. It wasn't as good as I was hoping, but it was still pretty enjoyable. The whole movie does still have a Empire Strikes Back mixed with some Return of the Jedi elements into it, which unfortunately they borrow too many concepts and make one messy movie. There's a lot of tonal variation in this movie. Some ways of storytelling change drastically in this movie for a scene, and then it's back to the normal way. And we do get some flashback scenes, but it's usually just the same thing reiterated. And it's, in my opinion, it's a weird way to tell all this story in a Star Wars movie. But I don't know how they would have delivered the message about these scenes without the way that they did it. So I just got to accept it. Now there is a scene that kind of mimics, especially the music, the cantina scene from A New Hope. Again, they're still trying to hit that home, like they did in The Force Awakens with Maz Kanata's cantina. But it feels like they mixed prequel era, like Republic stuff, and then the cantina stuff from A New Hope. It did not mesh well. It was awful. I hated every second of it. And there are other creatures that are added to that whole sequence that are just completely out of place, do not at all, they don't match at all. And I feel like Karen also said it in our spoiler review, that a lot of this movie does feel a little bit too much like Star Trek. And in our Force Awakens, Karen did say, it's nice to see those two worlds kind of combining. But what she meant by that was J.J. Abrams was director of Star Trek and Into Darkness, and then he directed The Force Awakens. So it's like we can bring the fan base together. But this one's like, hey, Star Wars fans, screw you, we're gonna do more Star Trek. And it really did feel a lot like Star Trek. And Laura Dern's character is a prime example of a Star Trek feeling. Everything revolving around that character and a lot of the other characters really resemble a Star Trek episode, and not at all in a good way. There are definitely some scenes in this movie that I completely hate, but there are definitely scenes in this movie that are pretty awesome. So it's hard to grade this one, but overall, unfortunately, I think disappointment is the word that I would describe how I feel about this movie. There's just a lot of mystery surrounding everything in The Force Awakens, and unfortunately, I left this movie with more questions than answers. More questions about the questions that I already had. So overall, I'm disappointed with how this movie was brought to us. And a lot of the character decisions, just there's a lot that I completely disagree with. It might be my fault for overhyping it, But, you know, it's a Star Wars movie. It's the 8th Star Wars episode movie that we all were so excited about because I honestly really liked Force Awakens. Yeah, it was a little too similar to A New Hope, and it had a lot of nostalgia built into it. This one kind of tried to do the same thing, but did not do it nearly as well. It's like, hey, you remember nostalgia in the last movie? We're going to do that all over again, but not as good. It's just going to be, hey, throw something in there and hope it sticks. And I didn't enjoy this movie as much as I really wanted to. So unfortunately, I have to give Star Wars Episode 8: The Last Jedi a B+. I really wanted to like this movie. I really did. And yes, it is still above average. It's still better than most of the prequels. I struggle to put this one above or below Episode 3. I just don't know. I'm hoping that Karen and I will do a ranking video on all the Star Wars movies to let you guys know where we put this one and where all the other ones lie. So stay tuned for that. I don't know when it's going to be. Hopefully later this week. It's a busy week before Christmas, so we're going to have to wait and see how it pans out. But let me know what you guys thought of Star Wars Episode 8: The Last Jedi. If you have seen it, if you have, remember to keep the discussion spoiler-free on this video. We did do a spoiler review, so if you've seen the movie and you want to talk spoilers, go to that review and you can start talking about them. But in this one, keep the discussion spoiler-free. So let me know if you guys liked it, love it, or hate it. And if you like this video, be sure to give it a big ol' thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you hit that bell icon next to the subscribe button so you can be notified of when we upload new content. Also, check out our Patreon page where you can support us and get early access to videos and possibly be in a future video with yours truly. So as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.